Welcome to Sore Hands. This is my Mark II Golf Gloria. She's part of the family now after 6 or 7 years, but we've never cleaned her. Recently met a guy called Kane. He runs a detailing place called V+ Detailing here in Leeds. I thought we'd take Gloria down, but only ask him to clean the inside. So let's take a look around the car. Once we've done that, we'll head over to Kane's place and get cracking. Okay, so starting on the bonnet, there's some real nice patina on here. Like, that's 6 or 7 years of character right there. I've been umming and ahhing, thinking about this for a long time because, you know, you can't replicate that very easily. And I think it looks kind of cool. It suits the car. We do have some moss, bits of garden growing down there. I think the key thing for me is I want to preserve the car. I don't want it to rust away. But at the same time, I think it looks cool with this faded look. There's some rust around the arches, around the sills. Again, so all this is something we want to treat on, not today. The overall weathered look, I think, is really what I want to keep. When I'm driving the car, I'm inside it. So I don't really mind it being dirty on the outside. Following around here, again, a bit more greenery down there. And I've got some real nice build-up going on around here. The bumpers used to be black. They've kind of greyed over time. You can get products to treat that, and I'm sort of not really sure if I want to do that or not. Again, it's sort of how far do you go with the detail and the clean, and how far do you go with the wrap look. And here we've got some grease that I think has leaked out of the motor for the rear windscreen just there. This happened on a trip to Italy. We drove there and back a couple of years ago, and it was probably like 35 degrees C outside, so we had some nice grease leakage, and also there's a sticker up there that faded to black. It's sort of coming back around now, but yeah. Again, not really sure I want to get rid of that. It's part of the character, you know. It's like, it just sits nicely. You can take this patina thing a little bit too far. You might be able to see that this door's a slightly different colour. It's a replacement. The original one had rotted out all the way along here, and this whole door skin was flapping about in the breeze. We had held it together for tape for a couple of years just to kind of, you know, keep it going, but it got to the point where it was just too much. So this one, it's blue, and that's good enough for me. So the outside of the car is what you see, but the inside is what you feel. And in here, we've got dust. The seats have got water damage and staining. The door cards, they're also quite grimy. I'm sure the carpets have never been cleaned. Windows, everything, all the kind of door shuts, it's all a bit, you know, getting there. Yeah, let's take it over to Kane and see what he can do. All right, Kane, nice one for having us down. Just wanted to ask you a few questions before we get started, if that's all right. How did you get into detailing?
So when I was about 14, 15, I went to the auctions with my dad. He bought me a little VW Lupo Sport. It was like a dragon green colour, dark green. And he said on weekend, just take it apart, clean it up. So then he showed me it's auto glim super resin polish, which used to be like the big thing back when he had cars. So I polished it, cleaned interior, exterior, and from there I just started watching YouTube videos. I didn't like working for anyone, so I set up myself, and then there we are now. I've got a detailing base, so yeah. It's just with a job you learn as you go on.
What's your favourite tool or product that you use?
I've got the Karcher SC4 steamer. It does everything, so you can clean wheels with it, you can clean under engine bay with it, and from a business point of view, because it's a natural degreaser, you're not using a lot of product.
Yeah.
So say I were doing the seats, I'd use a lot of products to try lift the stains up off the seats. But with the Karcher, with the steam, it makes it a lot easier to get the stains out, kind of thing.
Wicked. What's the difference then between, because there's a lot of places now, right, that are like old petrol stations, like side of the road, kind of £5 sort clean your car.
A lot of your £5 car washes, they'll use what's called a TFR, which is a traffic film remover. TFR is normally used on like commercial vehicles, like Arctic lorries and stuff. They'll spray it in TFR and it'll get a lot of the road grime off, so it'll look clean, but you know, a lot of people don't have show wagons. When you go to the £5 car washes, you might have seen it, they'll have the sprayer. Yeah. They'll spray it all around the car, be it in the cold or in the sunlight. So if it's in sunlight, it's even worse because that's when it dries onto your paintwork. And then they've just got one big bucket with a sponge in, and they'll probably use that water half a day. And then with my buckets as well, they've got like a guard in the bottom. So they've got like a grit guard.
Oh, so any grit or stuff that's coming off the sponge?
Yeah, so even in like my wheel buckets, so when I'm rinsing out and cleaning, it sits at bottom, and then after I've finished, I just take that grit guard out, give it a swill out, and it just makes it less for the scratches.
Wicked. What's the worst job or worst interior you've had to deal with over the years?
I work with a guy who does a lot of buying and selling cars, and he buys a lot from the police auctions, and he had a VW Passat, and it had just been, I think it was just used as a family bus, but what had happened, the front interior section where the driver sat, it were like they lived there. So I think they were going to McDonald's, getting chips, dropping chips downside at seat, and then when you got to the rear seats, it must have had 2 child seats in. So all their McDonald's sweets, everything went down the back and onto the floor. And then, because it were in summer, I think the car had got seized by the police, gone to the compound, and it must have been sat baking in the summer with all the milkshake and stuff like that.
Inside.
Yeah. It probably in the rear, it probably had about 3 inch of mould on the rear carpets. Luckily, the seats were leather, but then it goes back to my favourite tool, the steamer. You get a lot of companies what say mould removal, and they wipe the mould off. But mould, it's like spurs, so it sticks into the fabric. So if you don't get rid of the spurs, you can wipe it off the top 3 months
but it's
later.
Still there.
Yeah, it's still there. It'll grow back. But whereas with the steamer, I use like an enzyme killer alongside the steamer. Take everything I can apart, like headrests, make sure I get under the seats. Like sometimes I like to take the seats out because then you can get the full carpet. But yeah, probably the Passat, the family car.
Sounds like you've had some interesting jobs over the years then. Yeah. Let's take a look inside this one and see what you think.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Not too bad.
This one's locked.
Door's locked.
And there's also a bit of a technique to open this.
Anti-theft.
Anti-theft. So yeah, come on, give me first impressions.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be too bad to do. There'll be a lot of extracting with the fabric and stuff, but other than that, the plastics are in quite good condition. So.
When we got the car, I think it's your classic old lady owner.
Yeah.
It was £275 off eBay.
Wow.
And when I got it, the driver's headrest had what looked like chewing gum all over it. And I think it was hairspray.
Yeah, I've had to get that off before, yeah.
And then all of the stalks here looked like they'd faded. Foundation.
Foundation, yeah.
And also along here as well.
Yeah.
But again, was more kind of like just grime.
Yeah.
You know.
As grim as it sounds, it's probably dead skin.
Yeah.
From the arm. But yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to getting it clean, and I definitely didn't do a pro clean.
So with cars, they've got like hotspots, so where you touch. So your main hotspots in a car, the door handle, steering wheel stalks, gear sticks, and the seat belt.
Yeah. With the seat, the sunroof was left open.
Yeah.
And it was hammering it down with rain, and that's what happened there, basically. There is a bit of a water leak into the car at the moment, but I think I've solved it. Basically, that front door over there, you can see there's like a...
Oh, yeah, where the mark where the water's been.
And what had happened is the door skin had all rotted on the outside, and I just taped it up. But it got to the point where like the whole bottom of the door was just flapping.
All right.
So I put a new door on the other day, but the rear carpet, for example, is still a little bit wet.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you reckon from first glance?
It's not too bad. It's quite heavily stained on seat and stuff like that, but I think a lot of that will come out. And the carpets, luckily, they've had mats in.
Yeah.
A lot of time people don't put mats in, and then you're there scrubbing it for an hour trying to get stains out.
Well, I guess we'll have to see what's under the mats.
Yeah.